Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to the Dyslexic Reader and welcome to a book haul. I don't do many of these on my channel because I don't buy many books, but for some reason in the last month or so I have gathered quite a few. So I'm just going to go through them very quickly with you guys. These are all second-hand books. They were all bought very cheap, if not free. So I'm just going to quickly go through and tell you what I know about them. The first is To Kill a President by Sam Bourne. This is a thriller, I guess, a kind of mystery. Sorry if you can hear my croaky voice, I've got a bit of a sore throat today. And I think in it, the president is going to do something he shouldn't do, something very radical. And our main character is part of, I guess, the government or the FBI or something in some way, and decides that they've got to kill the president to stop this thing from happening. This is a relatively new release. It was released in 2017, and I found it for 50p in a charity shop, so I picked it up. My next one I picked up was The Essex Servant by by Sarah Perry. This is gorgeous. I'm not one for book covers, but you can't even really see the green. It's like holographic. It's very pretty, and I know this book was praised a couple of years ago when it came out. It's historical fiction, and it's about a woman whose husband dies, and then she, I think, goes to Essex to like live in the countryside. That's all I know about it. I could be completely wrong. Again, got this for a couple of p and in the charity shop, and I thought since it have a lot of hype, even though it's not my cup of tea, I would check it out. I got Lamentations. I cannot say that word. That means regret. It's one of those words that my mouth just won't get out. By C.J. Sanson. I have another C.J. Sanson book on my shelves which I haven't read. The words just are not coming out today, and but I've been told that I would love this author, and I was actually in where we have a caravan and we holiday, and I was in the tourist centre getting some information, and they have introduced a new kind of bring one take one bookshelf, and I picked this one up. It sounds very intriguing. It's about Henry VIII, and I don't know which one of his wives, Catherine Parr, and she writes a book that gets out or something. But my dad recommended this particular one to me, so I thought this would be a good place to start on his work. I also picked up Black Lands. This was again in a second-hand bookshop. It was like 30p. And this one is about a 12-year-old boy who writes to a serial killer in prison, and the serial killer, I think it's Arnold Avery, killed his uncle. So the wee boy is trying to find out where his uncle's body may be, I believe, but like this obviously happened before the little boy was born, and it was an uncle he never knew that was killed by this notorious serial killer, and he starts writing to the serial killer in prison, and I just find that incredibly creepy and yet endearing, and like kind of the insight into like a child's mind. I think it's something incredibly pure about that in a sort of sadistic kind of way, like that the child would just decide, I'm just going to write to the serial killer and ask him. So it's quite a short little book, and I thought for 30p it would be worth the try. This was 50p in a charity shop, and it's The Last Block in Harlem, a novel by Christopher Hertz. I've never heard of this. I believe it's independently published, and from what I gather from the back, it's just an unnamed narrator who lives in Harlem and is describing what's going on around him and his observations, and I think it will be very well written. I'm hoping like the style will be very atmospheric, and yeah, it just caught my eye. There was something just that really drew me towards this book. I picked up The Raw Shark Texts by Stephen Hall. This book, not gonna lie, I saw shark in the title, and sharks are something that I'm incredibly interested in. It's one of my biggest fears, but I'm also really fascinated by them. But when I picked it up and looked at it, I was really intrigued, and I'm not going to read you the whole blurb because it's quite long, the synopsis, but it sounds like our narrator gets a letter with instructions to basically pretend to be the man who wrote the letter and is now dead. So it just sounds interesting, and it says on the side, it's got like little, what do you call those things, like where you get like a sentence from like reviewers and magazines and newspapers and things like that, and it says the raw shark text is all of these and more. Fast, sexy, intriguing and intelligent, a cult waiting to happen, a blockbuster begging to be made. So if it's cult classic waiting to happen, I want to get on this train. Now this, I did pay more for this. I think this was £1.50 on its own. And I'm just trying to look to see when it was published, 2007, so it's not necessarily a new book, but I have never heard of it. If you have heard of this or read it or own it or whatever, let me know because I'm interested in what it's like. Next I pick up Pelican Blog by Chris Freddy. I got this for 10p, not second hand, knew it was just in the bargain bucket of the Works bookshop, and obviously the bargain bin draws me every time, and then the colours on this, and I picked it up, saw that it was 10p. How did they, you can't have even have made this for 10p, but it seems to be about a bird watcher. I'm not going to read the synopsis, but there's like a little summary at the back I'm going to read. Foul mouthed but lyrical, sounds good, with a tragic love story at its core. Not big into love, but if it's tragic, it could work for me if it's written well. Chris Freddy's stunningly accomplished British debut novel presents us with a cast of vivid characters and a passion for life in all its forms. Sounds good. Pelican Blood gate crashes are assumptions about obsession, anorak pastimes, and what makes life worth living. And I just thought that this could be really interesting, and it'll either be really bad or an absolute new favourite. And for 10p, I gotta take the risk. My next one was 30p, and it's 3 books bound in one, so that's 10p again a book. And this is a collection by Mary Higgins Clark, which I have heard of before, but I've never written any of her books either, but I've never read any of her books. And this is 3 sort of mysteries. Weep No More My Lady, Still Watch, and A Cry in the Night. Weep No More My Lady is about an actress who lives in the shadow of her exotic older sister. Her sister is murdered, and her fiancé becomes prime suspect, and there's a whole, obviously, murder investigation there. Still Watch is about a journalist who is on a political assignment, and she's drawn to Washington for political and personal reasons to discover the truth behind her parents' horrifying death. Again, another mystery. Cry in the Night is about a woman and her 2 younger daughters. The woman is divorced, she's struggling to keep things afloat, and this man comes along, sweeps her off her feet, but the fairy story turns into a nightmare, and I'm assuming death is involved in that one as well. So this is a good big hardback. I haven't looked yet to see what it's like underneath. Oh, it's exactly the same underneath, front and back. So this is ripped, so I'll probably just get rid of that and keep it like this because I don't like dust jackets anyway. So that's a good find. I also picked up Shade Those Laurels by Cyril Connolly and Peter Levi. Again, the cover drew this to me. It was in the 30p-ish range of price, and it just sounded intriguing. I know it's like a murder mystery. Cyril Connolly's published this in serialization in a magazine, but he never got to finish it. I believe he died before he wrote all the parts. He had written the majority of it, but Peter Levi, who was the other author, thought that it was a really good story. He was a biographer and a novel and poet himself, and he was looking into Cyril Connolly's life and thought that it was really good, but obviously not published, not out there, not known because it wasn't finished, and he thought it deserved a lot of praise. So he finished it and ended up then writing actually the solution for the mysterious death, because that's obviously the final part. So he kind of solved the mystery that Cyril Connolly had left behind, and I think that is a story and a half in itself. So I'll be interested to see really what this is about, what drew Peter Levi to the start, the serials work, and then how the two writing styles marry up, whether I think that Peter Levi finished it the way that it should have been finished and all those kind of things. So I think it's a story within itself, really, this book. I also think the cover's beautiful. It's like this gorgeous line drawing of an older and then a younger man in a greenhouse. And I think it looks pretty cool. And last but not least, the redemption of, and I can't, dyslexia when it's joined up, I can't read it. Alathus. That's what I'm going to pronounce it as. If you know how to pronounce it correctly or what it says, please leave it down below. This is a big epic fantasy. I am into my big, like, 1,000-page fantasies at the minute. It's just a real kick that I've been on this month in particular. What drew me to this was £1 itself, so one of my dearer purchases, but again, incredibly cheap. Single volumed, so I knew when I picked this up I wasn't going to have to go looking for sequels in the library or online. Also, it's signed by the author. It has got a book plate inside, and I don't know much about this. I know it is about, obviously, a fantasy world. Our main character is a burglar, a robber, an occasional murderer, and he's commissioned to steal a book. So, bookish content in a book. It gets good. There's end of the world. There's a talking cat. I'm guessing, obviously, a baddie in some shape or form, a magical emerald, and just, it sounds really good. Even though I'm on my major fantasy kick, I think I might leave this one for a month or two. Come back to it, savour it, and really enjoy it. I'm too scared to try and take this sticker off, although I really think it ruins the cover. What's it like underneath? My whole stack. I caught it. That's the problem when you prop things up on a bed. They went. But it's okay. Not many of them went. It's just blue underneath with the name on the side. So I will try to, though I'm not picky about my covers, but there's just something about stickers. Leave me a comment down below if you're the same, where I just can't. Who puts stickers on the covers of books? And I know, like, that, like, you wouldn't know if that wasn't there, but, like, I don't really care. I know that it's signed by the author. But just really, really looking forward to this. But I'm reading the Mistborn trilogy at the minute, so I don't want to come off the back of, like, a 1,000-page trilogy and jump straight into this. So I might keep this one. Update: the sticker came off really cleanly. That is it for today. Thank you for joining me. This has been a long book haul. This has been the biggest book haul I have done in a long time. So thank you for sticking with it. I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all healthy. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.